What you think about that?
Hey man, it was a good fight, man. Especially them last two rounds were really good in the the early rounds, you know. But I mean, bro, Benavidez' pressure was strong, man. A good fight, real good fight.
The boxing world was left in a state of disbelief as David Morrell, fresh off his historic victory over David Benavidez, stunned the crowd with an unexpected announcement. He was retiring from professional boxing, in a move that nobody saw coming. Morrell's decision to walk away from the sport after securing one of the most significant wins of his career has become one of the most talked about moments in recent boxing history.
Benavidez is a monster. I fuck with Benavidez.
Who would you like to see him fight next?
Huh?
Who would you like to see him fight next?
Canelo, Benavidez. Both of them.
All right, what do you tell Jose Ramirez?
As the final bell rang and the T-Mobile Arena erupted in cheers, the young Cuban fighter, just 24 years old, stood in the ring, microphone in hand, announcing that his fight with Benavidez would be his last. The victory over Benavidez, a former world champion and one of the most feared fighters in the sport, should have been a launching pad for Morrell's rise to superstardom. Instead, it became the unexpected climax of his boxing journey, as he made the decision to retire at the pinnacle of his success. For many, the news was nothing short of shocking. Boxing fans, analysts, and even fellow fighters were left questioning the reasons behind Morrell's sudden retirement. How could a young, undefeated champion with so much potential decide to step away at such a crucial moment in his career? The sport had been anticipating Morrell's future battles, including a potential showdown with the undisputed champion Canelo Alvarez. But now the question on everyone's mind was, why leave now? Morrell's retirement announcement took everyone by surprise, especially given the fact that he had just achieved his career-defining victory. It wasn't just the victory itself that shocked people, it was the timing. Many expected Morrell to be at the start of a long, dominant career, not stepping away so soon. What led to this unexpected choice? Was it the mental and physical toll of the sport, a desire for something beyond boxing, or was it simply a decision made out of personal reflection and contentment with his achievements? The moment was historic not only for Morrell, but for the sport of boxing itself. A 24-year-old talent with a world of potential, choosing to retire after achieving the biggest victory of his life, left fans and pundits alike wondering about the true reasons behind his decision and what his future would look like in the wake of such a shocking move. The night of February 1st, 2025, will go down as one of the most memorable in boxing history, as David Morrell delivered a stunning upset, defeating the highly regarded David Benavidez in a fight that no one saw coming. The victory, which shocked both fans and pundits alike, wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Morrell showcased a combination of skill, strategy, and mental fortitude that many didn't believe he was capable of, considering his opponent's pedigree. From the opening bell, it was clear that Morrell had come into the fight with a game plan to neutralize Benavidez's destructive power and relentless pressure. Benavidez, known for his aggressive, unrelenting style and heavy punches, seemed to be in control early on, but Morrell's performance was nothing short of masterful. He utilized sharp counters, making Benavidez pay every time he lunged forward with reckless abandon. His ability to land quick, crisp shots while evading Benavidez's power punches was a testament to his impeccable timing and ring IQ. Morrell's footwork was exceptional throughout the fight, allowing him to dictate the pace and avoid any sustained attacks from Benavidez. He moved with precision and purpose, constantly staying just out of range while landing devastating jabs and right hooks. Every time Benavidez tried to close the distance, Morrell seemed to slip away effortlessly, frustrating the veteran fighter and forcing him to reset. The Cuban's agility in the ring and ability to avoid Benavidez's most dangerous punches was a highlight of the fight.
He's gonna be fucked up tomorrow. Yeah, he didn't want to fight. Yeah, he didn't want to fight. He was there to survive. Hey, me and my brother said he's durable, man. He's just one of the motherfuckers that won't go.
Demonstrating that Morrell's defense was just as lethal as his offense. As the rounds progressed, it became evident that Morrell wasn't simply surviving against a man many considered a future champion. He was thriving. His composure under pressure and unwavering belief in his ability to execute the plan was inspiring. In rounds 6 and 7, Morrell began to establish clear dominance, using his speed and superior technique to land clean combinations that visibly shook Benavidez. Benavidez's frustration began to mount, as his usual heavy-handed approach was being neutralized by Morrell's speed and elusive movement. The Cuban's ability to control the pace and dictate the exchanges marked a pivotal turning point in the fight, as it became clear that Morrell was more than capable of handling Benavidez's vaunted power.
Down, but he was hurt a couple times in the body. He kept fucking him with the body. We gotta keep working.
Güey, ¿estás seguro que son tus hijos estos güeyes? Todos. No mames, parecen modelos.
As the final bell rang, Morrell was declared the winner by unanimous decision, the judges recognizing his superior technique, ring generalship, and ability to withstand the immense pressure Benavidez had applied. The crowd in the T-Mobile Arena erupted in applause, celebrating not only the victory, but the sheer brilliance of Morrell's performance. This wasn't just an upset, it was a defining moment in Morrell's career, where he had solidified his place among boxing's elite and announced himself as a force to be reckoned with in the light heavyweight division. The win was a career milestone for Morrell, establishing him as one of the brightest rising stars in boxing. His performance on that night was a perfect example of his potential, a boxer who, despite being younger and less experienced at the highest level, proved that he could hang with the best and come out on top. Fans who once questioned his ability to compete at the top tier were now left in awe, recognizing that Morrell had just demonstrated an elite level of boxing that could rival anyone in the division. For many fans, this victory was just the beginning. They believed this triumph would catapult Morrell into the upper echelons of the sport, setting him up for a massive future in boxing. The prospect of future fights, including potential showdowns with other stars like Canelo Alvarez, sent excitement through the fanbase, with many predicting that Morrell would dominate the division for years to come. The boxing world was now watching closely, aware that it had just witnessed the rise of a new champion with all the tools to achieve greatness. As the final bell rang and the crowd erupted in cheers, a moment of disbelief unfolded in the ring. David Morrell, the newly crowned victor over David Benavidez, stood there, still soaking in the energy of his monumental win. But what happened next would stun the entire boxing world. With tears in his eyes and the microphone in his hand, Morrell, visibly emotional, made a shocking announcement that would forever change the course of his career. "This is the highest point of my career," he began, his voice shaky but resolute. "And it's time to walk away on top." The words hung in the air, leaving the packed arena in stunned silence. For a moment, it seemed as if the world had stopped. Morrell, at the peak of his career, had just announced his decision to retire from the sport of boxing, a sport that had given him everything but now seemed to be something he was ready to step away from. Morrell explained that his journey in boxing had been one of sacrifice, perseverance, and pushing himself beyond his limits. From the early days of his career in Cuba to the hard-fought victories in the ring, he had given everything to the sport. But now, after accomplishing the unimaginable and securing one of the biggest wins of his life, he felt it was time to step away. "I've given everything to this sport, and now it's time for me to live for myself," he said, adding that he was looking forward to enjoying life outside the ring, away from the grueling demands of training camps and endless fights. He admitted that his love for boxing would never fade, but the burning passion to compete had begun to wane. Morrell shared that, despite achieving his dreams, he had come to a realization: Stepping away while still on top would allow him to preserve the good memories. And avoid the risk of physical or mental tolls that could have come from continuing to fight. I've done everything I set out to do, and now it's time to enjoy the fruits of my labor, Morel said, as the crowd processed his words. The shock was palpable. The announcement left the audience in absolute disbelief. It was a decision that few could have anticipated, especially given the sheer talent Morel had displayed in his victory over Benavidez. His retirement, at just 24 years old, seemed almost unfathomable to fans and analysts alike. For someone so young, so gifted, and at the peak of their career, stepping away from the sport felt almost surreal. Commentators, analysts, and experts in the boxing world were left questioning whether Morel was making the right decision. Was it too soon? Had he really achieved all that he could in the sport? Or had the fire inside him simply burned out? The news quickly spread, and many began to ask if we were witnessing the end of a promising career before it had truly even started.
Hey man, it was a good fight, man. Especially them last 2 rounds were really gonna end like the early rounds, you know. But I mean, bro, Benavidez' pressure was strong, man. A good fight, real good fight.
Several prominent figures in the sport of boxing, including Canelo Alvarez, Caleb Plant, and other champions, took to social media to express their respect and admiration for Morel's decision. Canelo, who had once been mentioned as a potential opponent for Morel, shared his congratulations, acknowledging the Cuban's incredible skill and determination. David has a bright future ahead, whatever path he chooses. I respect his decision, Canelo wrote, adding a heartfelt message of encouragement. Caleb Plant, a fellow fighter who had shared the ring with some of the best in the sport, praised Morel for knowing when to step away. Not everyone can make this choice, Plant said in a tweet. Respect to David for walking away while on top. The sport will miss him, but I'm sure he'll find greatness in whatever he does next. On the other hand, fans on social media were split. Many were in awe of Morel's decision, expressing their admiration for the maturity and self-awareness it took to retire at the peak of his powers. Some fans applauded him for recognizing that it was time to walk away, fearing that too many young fighters stay in the game too long, damaging their legacies and health. There was an outpouring of gratitude for the unforgettable moments he gave fans in the ring, and many wished him well in his future endeavors.
Got to talk about you, Rolly. Rolly versus Ryan. Talk to us about it. This fight, how to come about. What should we expect? What up, my guy?
Is that really happening, Ro?
It's real. It's real. It's real.
However, not all reactions were positive. A significant portion of fans were disappointed and devastated by the announcement, feeling robbed of what could have been an incredible career. We didn't even get to see his full potential, one fan tweeted. He could have been one of the best of all time, and now we'll never know. Others speculated about what might have been, wondering if Morel could have built upon his victory over Benavidez and truly cemented himself as a generational talent. In the wake of his announcement, the boxing world was forced to reckon with the fact that it had lost one of its brightest young stars, and his absence would leave a void that would be hard to fill. Despite the shock and disappointment, there was also a sense of admiration for Morel's decision, as it reflected his personal values and a sense of peace that few athletes ever achieve.
I think it's something everybody's been waiting for I don't know, 8 years or so. Very long time I've been calling this boy out.
Rolly, how do you finally feel having this fight, in front of you and ready to go?
Walking away on his own terms, having reached the pinnacle of the sport. David Morrell's decision to retire from boxing at the peak of his career took many by surprise. But during his emotional announcement, he offered some insight into the personal factors that influenced his choice. Morel hinted at the toll the sport had taken on him, both mentally and physically. After years of rigorous training, intense competition, and an unrelenting grind to stay at the top, the 24-year-old explained that he had begun to feel the strain of the lifestyle he had dedicated himself to. I've given everything to this sport, Morel shared, his voice heavy with emotion. But the mental and physical tolls of constantly pushing myself, of being away from my family and everything that I love, have weighed heavily on me. His decision wasn't a reflection of a lack of desire to compete, but rather an acknowledgement that the sacrifices he had made for so long had...
I'm very feel right now. I'm very feel.
Do you feel a little disrespected? Because everybody says if he wins this fight, he's going to Haney immediately. So do you feel like you're getting a little looked over?
My daughter's on my undercard.
Left him craving something more. Despite the success, the money, and the fame, Morel expressed that his passion for the daily grind of boxing had started to fade. The mental exhaustion of always being in the spotlight, the pressure to constantly defend his position, and the sacrifice of time with loved ones had led him to a moment of self-reflection. "I want to focus on my family, my future," Morel said, looking back on his journey. "I've achieved everything I set out to do. I'm content with what I've done in boxing, and I'm ready for a new chapter." The decision, though shocking to many, was one born out of a sense of fulfillment and a desire to experience life beyond the ring. Morel felt that stepping away now, while still on top, would allow him to walk away with peace of mind, knowing he had nothing left to prove in the sport. Although Morel's career was relatively short, his legacy in boxing was undeniable. His win over David Benavidez would go down as one of the most significant and unexpected moments in recent boxing history. In a sport...
Hey, David, was it easy as you thought?
where future prospects often fade into obscurity, Morel's stunning upset not only secured his place in boxing's rich history, but also marked him as one of the most technically gifted fighters of his generation. His performance against Benavidez displayed a masterclass in boxing. His ability to evade Benavidez's power shots, his brilliant counterpunching, and his refined footwork were all elements that set him apart as a unique talent. Throughout his career, Morel's skill set earned him respect from not only fans, but also from trainers and fighters alike. His defensive movement was as sharp as his offensive game, and his ability to adapt in the ring showed a fighter who was far beyond his years. What Morel may have lacked in experience, he more than made up for with his natural talent and intellect in the ring. His victory over Benavidez will be remembered as a defining moment, one that confirmed his place among the sport's elite before his abrupt exit. Despite his decision to retire at such a young age, Morel's impact on the sport would be felt for years to come. In a sport as volatile and unpredictable as boxing, a fighter like Morel, one with an innate understanding of technique and timing, was rare. He was not just another up-and-coming contender, he was a future champion in the making. And even though his career was short-lived, it was marked with moments of brilliance that cemented his place in boxing history. The announcement of Morel's retirement sparked widespread speculation about his future. Would he really walk away from the sport, or was this just a temporary break? Boxing fans, analysts, and commentators were left wondering if we would one day see Morel return to the ring. His victory over Benavidez had shown that he was capable of reaching the pinnacle of boxing, and many believed that if the right opportunity came along, a legacy fight, a huge payday, Morel could be tempted to return. There were rumors swirling that Morel could come back to face the winner of a potential fight between David Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez. The allure of a massive legacy fight, especially against someone like Canelo, who had dominated the sport for years, could prove irresistible. If the money and the legacy are there, maybe Morel could come back for one big fight, said a boxing analyst. Others, however, speculated that Morel's time away from the sport could be permanent. Some suggested he might transition into a new career, whether in coaching, commentary, or even becoming an advocate for mental health or youth boxing programs. His platform and influence in the sport could allow him to continue shaping the boxing world from outside the ring. Many saw Morel as a future leader in boxing, not just as a fighter, but as someone who could help mold the next generation of champions. While boxing fans mourned the sudden retirement of one of the sport's brightest young stars, they also respected Morel's decision to leave on his own terms. In a sport that often chews up and spits out athletes, Morel's choice to walk away at the peak of his career was seen as a bold and mature move. It was a statement that he valued his well-being and family over the allure of fame and fortune. David Morrell's victory over David Benavidez would go down as one of the most unexpected and significant moments in modern boxing. His legacy would be solidified as one of the most gifted and promising talents of his era, even if his time in the sport was shorter than many had anticipated. While the world speculated about his future, whether he would return to the ring or continue to build a new life outside of boxing, One thing was clear: Morrell's impact on the sport would not be forgotten, whether we see him back in the ring or not. David Morrell's remarkable career will be remembered as one defined by talent, maturity, and a legacy that was forged in one stunning victory and a decision to walk away at the height of his powers. The world would now wait and watch, eager to see what comes next in the story of one of boxing's brightest stars. Okay guys, for the best updates on boxing news, moments, events, and actions, subscribe to Knockout Updates and turn on notifications to never miss out on quality content, and check out our other videos. Until next time, peace out.